Hey everyone, welcome back to Revenge Reloaded. The instant I stepped into that lavish ballroom, I caught her words floating over the hum of conversation. Victoria Hargrove, my brother's impeccable fiancée, leaning into her group of bridesmaids with a champagne flute in her perfectly manicured hand. Her voice was calibrated just loud enough to travel, and I knew she intended it to. Oh perfect, the grubby ranch rat has arrived. Her friends snickered like a flock of pampered swans in silk gowns. Victoria didn't even glance my way when she said it. To her, I was that negligible nuisance who'd crawled in from the backcountry to spoil the perfection of her curated engagement celebration. What Victoria had no clue about, what no one in that dazzling crowd comprehended, was that I'd signed the papers for this entire luxury resort, the Apex Haven, 4 years ago. Every crystal chandelier twinkling above her head, every polished silver fork she used for her hors d'oeuvres, every square foot of imported marble under her exorbitant heels, it all belonged to me. And by the end of this night, that snide comment was going to cost her every dream she held dear. I'm Lauren Hayes. I'm 32 now, living in my Phoenix high-rise, watching rain streak the windows as I tell this story. At 28, I was the invisible sister who'd built an empire from nothing. This one has layers of hidden pain, calculated patience, and a reveal so sharp it cut through her facade like glass. If you've ever been looked down on by people who were supposed to be family, this will resonate. Stay with me, the slow build makes the payoff even sweeter. Let's go back to how it all started. To really understand why that remark hits so hard, you need the full picture of where I came from and how I rose above it. I grew up in Dust Creek, Idaho, a town so small the only real event was when the annual Harvest Festival shut down the single main street for a day. Our family ranch was modest, creaky barns, endless fields of wheat swaying in the wind, a front porch with a swing where Dad would sit in the evenings, nursing a coffee and talking about the weather. Mom kept everything running with her endless energy, canning vegetables from the garden, mending clothes, making sure we had hot meals no matter how tight money got. I was the younger child, always living in the shadow of my brother Ryan, the golden boy, the star quarterback, the one who could charm anyone with a smile. From the time I was little, everything was compared. My good report card? Ryan's was better. My prize at the county fair for baking? Ryan had won the rodeo buckle. Mom, Diane, had this way of looking at Ryan like he hung the moon, while her glances at me felt like she was searching for something that wasn't there. Dad was too busy with the ranch to notice the difference, or maybe he just didn't want to. I left home at 18 with one suitcase, $300 I'd saved from summer jobs, and a determination to prove I was worth something. Not because I hated the ranch, I loved the open spaces, the smell of fresh hay, the quiet nights, but because my family had made it clear there wasn't much space for me in their version of success. I took a bus to the city, slept on friends' couches, and landed my first job scrubbing toilets at a small boutique inn. It was hard, back-breaking work, but I paid attention. I learned how the front desk worked, how guests were treated, how managers made decisions. Nights, I studied online courses in business and hospitality. I moved up, receptionist, concierge, assistant manager. I saved every penny, invested in small stocks that grew, took risks that paid off. By 26, I bought my first property, a rundown motel I renovated myself. By 28, I had 5. Now, at 32, Hayes Retreats owns 10 luxury venues across the West. The Apex Haven is my flagship, a sprawling resort with grand ballrooms, world-class spas, and views that take your breath away. But the key to all this? I stayed quiet about it. Success taught me that people who underestimate you give you the greatest advantage. I never told my family the truth. They never asked. To them, I was still the wayward daughter chasing city dreams and barely getting by. Ryan met Victoria at 30, she was 28, a high-end event planner with a social media feed full of filtered perfection and captions about living my best life. They got engaged quickly, and I got a last-minute invitation to the party. Probably Mom's way of checking the Family United box for her friends. I almost didn't go, but something drew me there. Curiosity, maybe, or a tiny hope that things had changed. They hadn't. I arrived in comfortable jeans, my favorite broken-in boots, hair still carrying the faint scent of hay from driving through Dust Creek to remind myself of my roots. My clothes were understated luxury, but to them, I looked like I'd just stepped off the farm. And that's exactly what Victoria saw when she made her comment. The party was pure excess, towering floral arrangements that cost more than most people's monthly rent, a chocolate fountain flowing like it had no off switch, live musicians playing soft jazz. My staff had outdone themselves, which filled me with quiet pride even as I inwardly cringed at some of Victoria's tasteless choices. I hung back near the bar when I heard her whisper. Her friends laughed on cue. She flipped her hair, satisfied with her little power play. Mom spotted me soon after, approaching with that familiar look, like she'd smelled something off and was trying to find the source. Her eyes lingered on my boots. "It's nice you could make it," she said, tone suggesting it was anything but. "Couldn't you have worn something more suitable? Victoria's family is very refined." I said I'd come straight from a work meeting and didn't have time to change. True, just omitting that work meant overseeing multimillion-dollar properties. Mom sighed that sigh she reserved for me, the one that said I was a perpetual disappointment. She told me to, at least try not to embarrass us, and floated back to her friends. Victoria drifted over later, all air kisses and practiced charm with the guests. Her parents, Malcolm and Evelyn Hargrove, stood nearby like royalty surveying their kingdom, Malcolm loud and red-faced, Evelyn thin and dripping jewels. Something about them felt rehearsed, like actors playing wealthy a bit too hard. I couldn't place it yet. Ryan waved me over eventually, still treating me like the kid sister who tagged along. He asked if I'd met Victoria, said she was the best thing that ever happened to him. I said I'd seen her from afar. He nodded, already distracted by other guests. Then he mentioned Mom had given Victoria Grandma's bracelet as an engagement gift. Wasn't that sweet of her? My stomach dropped. Grandma's antique bracelet, the one she'd pressed into my hand on her deathbed, whispering it was for me because I was her little fighter who would go far. Mom had been in the room. She heard it. Yet she gave it to Victoria. I looked across the room and saw it glinting on Victoria's wrist, like it had always been hers. Needing air, I headed toward the terrace, and overheard Malcolm on his phone in a side hall, voice low and tense. "This marriage has to happen. The Hayes family has the kind of money to fix our problems." He listened, then, "Just get through the vows, and we'll be in the clear." He hung up, plastered on his smile, and rejoined the party. My mind reeled. Hayes family has money? Our ranch had a second mortgage. I'd been paying it anonymously for 4 years through my company. Ryan had a good but ordinary job. No hidden fortune. Mom must have thought the mystery payments were from Ryan, bragging to everyone about her successful, generous son. The Hargroves bought the story, saw a family that looked comfortable, and set their sights on Ryan as the mark. I retreated to my private office, called my GM Adrian Cole. "I need everything on the Hargrove family, business dealings, finances, anything dirty." Adrian didn't question, he just got to work. I watched the party from the monitors, Malcolm checking his phone obsessively, Evelyn touching her necklace like it might vanish, Victoria's eyes scanning the room with a hunger that had nothing to do with love. Adrian returned with a thick folder. "They're not just struggling, they're under investigation for fraud. Ponzi scheme with fake real estate investments. Deeper dives revealed aliases in Oregon 3 years ago, same pattern." Victoria's real name? Vanessa Croft. Parents were longtime con partners. The wedding was their exit ticket, access to perceived Hayes wealth before vanishing. Part of me wanted to watch it burn, Mom who handed away my heirloom, Ryan who never had my back. Let them learn what being discarded feels like. But they were still family. Ryan was the boy who'd taught me to ride a horse. Mom was the woman who'd nursed me through fevers. Complicated doesn't begin to cover it. I decided to expose the Hargroves, protect my family from a disaster they didn't see coming, and do it on my terms. Called my lawyer Sophia Lane. She confirmed the fraud trail, tipped federal contacts. Called forensic accountant Lila Grant. She uncovered $5 million diverted, warrants pending. 9 p.m., Malcolm's toast time. Guests gathered, glasses raised. Adrian had the AV ready. Malcolm boomed about, welcoming Ryan to the family, and bright futures together. Screens shifted, not couple photos, but documents, fraud filings, alias records, victim statements. Gasps rippled. Malcolm stammered, technical glitch, but slides continued, Vanessa's old photos, money trails. Victoria paled, Ryan stared in horror. I walked to the stage, boots echoing on marble. Adrian announced, please welcome Lauren Hayes, owner of Apex Haven and Hayes Retreats. The room went dead silent. Mom's face drained of color, Ryan's mouth opened, Victoria looked like she'd been slapped. I took the mic from Malcolm's limp hand, the Hargroves aren't who they say. Their empire is a scam stealing from investors. Victoria is Vanessa Croft, a career con artist. Victoria screamed, lies, but feds entered, badges out. Malcolm tried fleeing, cuffed. Evelyn sobbed. Victoria lunged at me, you were supposed to be nothing. Security stopped her. I leaned in, this grubby rat owns the floor you're standing on, and just ended your game. They were let out in cuffs amid stunned silence. Party over, but bars stayed open, guests needed drinks after that. Ryan approached, shattered, how did you? I said, by paying attention, something no one did for me. He apologized for years of ignoring me. Mom, seeing transfer records, the money was you? Tears, real ones. She returned the bracelet. Weeks later, Hargroves charged, assets frozen. Ryan called off wedding, started healing. Mom began therapy, real conversations. I hosted a scholarship brunch, lifted a small-town kid, reminded snobs underdogs win. Now, in my office overlooking the city, I know, those who belittle you never see you coming. The grubby rat? She built the trap they walked into. Comments, ever been underestimated? I read all. Like, subscribe, bell. Thanks. Until next, rise quietly.